Here to see Brown? I know, can't leave without it.
Chef Paul!
Yeah.
Oh, I love your show! What is it? What is it? What is it?
Great Eats.
What?
The show I do for the Food Network, it's called Great Eats.
Never heard of it.
Hi, AB.
Paul? Is it you? Oh, gosh, how long's it been?
I don't know, maybe...
Oh, well, let me guess. 2 years, 3 months. What's the matter? Big-time TV chef, the driveway too short for your limousine? And after all I did for you...
What's all this?
Nothing.
It's your script. The one about dip, isn't it?
Yeah, dips. I wrote it for you. Look, I'm this close to finding the unified dip theory. And once I do, this script will finally be done. And I'll make my triumphant return to...
Do you mind? Can I look at that? Just one page, maybe. In order to formulate a unified dip theory, one must first establish a system for classifying all dips. This, of course, is predicated on devising a working definition of what a dip actually is. To this end, we employ
the 3-foot rule, which states that in order to qualify as a dip, the candidate substance must be able to maintain constant contact with its transport mechanism over 3 feet of white carpet. Now, why don't we start by giving America's favorite, salsa, a try. Oh, gosh. Well, I guess that means the salsa's not a dip after all. No real surprise when you consider that the word salsa is actually Spanish for sauce, not dip. Let's give another one a try. Say an amalgamation of sour cream and roasted onion. Now that is a dip. From this experiment, we can extrapolate that a successful dip is creamy. Of course, there are a lot of different ways to get creamy into a dip. After countless hours of experimentation, we have come to the conclusion that the best all-purpose sour cream dip base is in fact a combination of 2 parts sour cream and 1 part mayonnaise. No, it's not exactly a dairy product, but it is white and creamy, and a little can do a lot for a dip's flavor and texture. Also, the emulsifying power of the egg and mayonnaise can help hold a dip together. Now, our version of California dip begins with 1.5 cups of sour cream and 3/4 of a cup of mayonnaise. But wait, there's more. Starting with 2 tablespoons of olive oil in a medium-sized skillet over medium-low heat. Then onions, 1.5 cups. And, of course, a little salt. Kosher, that is. Now, we're going to let this cook for about 20 minutes. Yes, 20 minutes is necessary. I mean, we need to drive excess moisture out of the onions. We need to caramelize the sugar inside of them. And we want to create a rich, dark pigment so that the onions can literally color the dip later on. How brown should we let the onions get? Oh, I'd say something about like that. TV time. You gotta love it. Okay, into the dip base. Make sure you get all of the oil as well, because there's a lot of flavor in it. And we're going to add a little bit more salt. Matter of fact, about 1/2 teaspoon of salt. 1/4 teaspoon of white pepper, because black pepper just would not look good. And last but not least, 1/4 teaspoon of garlic powder.
Garlic powder never delivers.
It never delivers because people don't give it a chance to. It's got to rehydrate. I mean, if you just go and toss garlic powder into tomato sauce, you're never going to get any flavor because the acid in the tomato just
Brown,
eats it.
you need your pill?
No, I'm good. I'm fine. I'm calm. Thank you. The acid prevents the garlic flavor from ever developing. I mean, if you're in that much of a hurry, you ought to use HBI garlic powder.
Now you're making that up.
No, I am not making that up. High bulk index. But you never heard of that? It's a special kind of garlic powder. They take it and they dry it and they process it in such a way that each grain has like twice the surface area as regular garlic powder. This stuff's amazing. I mean, you can just put a little bit of this in water for like 2 minutes and it's up to 100% flavor. It's like instant garlic. It's amazing.
Okay. Garlic powder's always too salty.
That is not salt. Garlic salt is always salty. The problem is the retailers either mix them up or they put them together and put the same label on them, okay? Which just goes to show that shopping for spices in a regular grocery store, that's the crazy thing.
Well, you'd know.
What I do know is that if you're careful, you can make an American-style dip out of just about anything. You can make an American dip out of just about anything, as long as you stick to a basic formula, okay? Creamy base plus 1 to 2 main ingredients, usually the ones the dip is named for, and then no more than 3 supporting seasonings, excluding salt, of course. Now let's say that we dissect this hot artichoke dip and see what makes it tick, okay? First, we'll take out the 1/4 teaspoon of salt. Then we've got the 3 backup singers, as they were. 1/4 teaspoon of garlic powder, 1/2 teaspoon of red pepper flake, and 1/3 cup of grated Parmesan cheese. And yes, I do consider that a seasoning. Then we've got the main players. 1.5 cups of frozen artichoke hearts and 1 cup of chopped frozen spinach. Cooked together in about 1 cup of boiling water until just tender. And drained, of course. That leaves us the base, and this is our favorite hot dip base. 6 ounces of cream cheese, which has been warmed in the microwave for about 1 minute on low, along with 1/4 cup of sour cream and 1/4 cup of mayonnaise. Now, when you put it all together, you have a very party-hardy type of dip. Of course, how are you going to keep it warm during the party? Break out your crock pot.
Crock pot? Why not use chafing dishes? That's what they're for.
Chafing dishes are like the ultimate unitaskers. Why not just grab hold of your faithful crock pot, put a couple of inches of hot water into it, put it over low heat, put your dip in a bowl that'll fit over the top of it. That way your dip stays hot all night long. And you know, if you don't like the way the crock pot looks, then tie a scarf around it. Of course, you know, we really shouldn't be talking about dips unless we talk about that freaky, strange fruit known as one of the freakiest fruits in the world. Ladies and gentlemen, I give you avocado. Early American settlers called it the alligator pear. Not only because it looked like one, but because they couldn't pronounce the Aztec word aguajalo. Heck, I can't even say it. It is so weird that it is a fruit, and yet it contains 20% fat. Not weird enough for you? Fine. The leaves produce a hormone that prevents the fruit from ripening as long as it's on the tree. Falls off, it ripens, but only in the presence of oxygen, ladies and gentlemen. That's right. You put an avocado in a plastic bag and it doesn't ripen, it rots.
Why not just put it in a paper bag? I mean, it allows the ethylene to accumulate without cutting off airflow. I mean, more ethylene, faster ripening.
Now, there are dozens of varieties. Yes, there are. But let me tell you, down at the local Mega Mart, you're probably just going to see this one, the Haas avocado, named after the California postman that discovered it outside his hometown of Pasadena back in the early 20th century. When cutting up avocados, I am in the habit of moving the knife as little as possible. Instead, I move the fruit. Just make an incision right at the stem end, straight down the middle, and then rotate the fruit around the knife like that. Okay? Give it a little bit of a twist, and there we go. Now, we've got to get this pit out. For that, I always arm myself first with a kitchen towel. Kind of make yourself a little mitt. Place the avocado right in the middle of the mitt, and take your heaviest chef knife and try to put the widest part of the blade right there. Just give it a thwack and gently twist. Now, we've gotten the pit out of the avocado, but we've given ourselves kind of another problem here. Any man in the kingdom who can pull the sword from the whetstone gets to be king. Why, look, peasants have approached. Do you come to test your brains and brawn against the blade?
Yeah, sure, whatever.
Peasant number 1 checks out the lay of the land. How's he going to play this one? Brute force and ignorance, it seems. Oh, and that almost never pays off. I want to slap a leech on that. Peasant number 2, dost thou think thou will fare better? A unique dental approach. I've never seen that before. Hope never to see that again. I want to check in with your dental hygienist. My turn. Take the knife, pit on this side, reach around the back of the blade, gently pinch the pit off. No drama and no stitches. I'm king. Yeah, big deal. Get back to work. I know. Here's the other thing that I really like about ripe avocados, especially Hass avocados, is that the meat doesn't really want to hold on to the skin that badly. And if you use a big spoon, you can scoop the meat right out. Of course, now we have yet another problem. The second that we cut into that flesh, we released polyphenol oxidase, an enzyme that turns green and yellow pigments brown. The same thing can be found in apples and bananas and human beings, for that matter. That's right. A polyphenol oxidase-like enzyme is responsible for human tanning. I guess George Hamilton just has more of it than the rest of us. Anyway, there's one way to stop it. Acid, ascorbic acid. Vitamin C blocks the reaction, which is why a lot of those fresh fruit powders contain a lot of it. Citric acid also does the job. It just takes a lot more of it. But that's okay, because lime juice contains citric acid, and lime juice is one of the primary seasonings in guacamole. So, as you scoop your avocados, just drop the sides right into a bowl containing the juice of 1 lime. Give them a toss. Browning won't be a problem. To really celebrate the avocado, you need chunks. So, pureeing, not going to work. That said, chunks alone won't convey one of avocado's best attributes, which is its creamy smoothness. And we're going to need that creamy smoothness if we're going to create a dip instead of a scoop. So, time to break out your potato masher. But we have to drain off the excess lime juice first. It is strong stuff. We want to add it to taste later. But don't worry, there will be plenty left to prevent browning during the mashing process. There. Oh, now would also be a really good time to add any granular matter, like, say, salt. I'm going to go with about half a teaspoon here, kosher. Also, half a teaspoon of cumin, my favorite. And we'll say a quarter teaspoon of cayenne pepper. Bam! You can use more if you're brave. Now you mash.
What about the fuertes?
Well, if you're gonna mix your avocados, Paul, you gotta make best use of them. So mash up the Hass for the nice creamy smooth, and then slice the fuertes into chunks because they stay chunky. That way you get a little contrast, texture. Leave me alone. Let's see here. A little bit chunky, a little bit smooth, kind of like good peanut butter. There we go. Time to add some allied flavors. Say about half an onion chopped, right in there. 2 Roma tomatoes, seeded and chopped. I like cilantro, about a tablespoon. You can use just parsley if you'd like. Half a jalapeno, seeded, okay? Too hot otherwise. About a 1 large clove of garlic, minced fine. And I'm just going to put in a little bit of lime juice. I'm going to save more for later. Why? Because right now, we can't really know what this is going to taste like. I mean, sure, we can guess, but the flavors are going to have to marry and mellow for a while. So I'm going to leave this for about 2 hours in a nice, cool place. Of course, oxidation is going to set in that amount of time regardless of the lime juice. So we're going to need to cover this, really cover it. Best option, heavy-duty plastic wrap. And push it right down on top of the goo.
So why not just refrigerate it?
Well, because cold turns down the volume on flavor, right? I mean, if you correct the seasoning while the dip is cold, and later, when you turn it up to room temp, it's going to be all out of whack, okay? So what you need to do is you need to let the dip come to room temperature for, an hour or two. Oh, thanks very much. That looks great. Hour or two, and then stir it, and then give it a taste, right? And odds are, at least with the guacamole, hey, here you go. All you're going to need is some salt and maybe some lime juice. That's it. Listen, speaking of cold, this robe's not as heavy as it looks. Do you think I could try your coat on? I really appreciate that. There you go. Oh, being cold all day. Hate being cold. Ooh. Oh, that's nice. That's nice. Good. Thank you.
So, there's other ways to make dips creamy. Why not purees?
Purees?
Yeah.
Hey, did you know that you lose about 70% of your body heat through your head?
Here you go.
Yeah, thanks. Okay, purees. Yeah, certainly the norm, the standard for North African dips, for Middle Eastern dips, and certainly Italian dips. But you know who really cornered the market on puree dips? The French. Right? It's when they invented the mousse. You know, the word mousse actually means foam or froth in French. It does, and that is that air. That's why those dips are so magnificently beautiful. You know, all you have to do is take a little, some duck livers, some chicken livers. Chicken livers. And you can buy them fresh in tubs at the market, but you better use them by the next day because they go downhill fast. Frozen livers are not quite as good, but they are free. Well, almost. Every time I buy a chicken or a duck, I take out the liver, freeze it, and add it to my stash. To thaw, I put them in a bowl of milk and leave them in the refrigerator overnight. The milk will keep them from drying out and also helps to pull out impurities. Remember, the liver is a working organ and keeps the blood squeaky clean, That said, livers from older critters can get a little on the funky side. I, for one, don't think there's enough onion in the world to cover up the nasty taste of beef liver. But most market chickens and ducks don't live long enough to get the funk. Place a large saute pan or a saucier over medium heat and melt 2 tablespoons of unsalted butter into it. Now we're going to add 2 cups of onions, coarsely chopped, 1 tart apple, say a Granny Smith, also roughly chopped, a teaspoon of fresh thyme, and, of course, salt. It is, after all, a sweat. We'll just say a heavy pinch. There. Just toss that around a little bit until the butter's had time to melt. And slap on the lid. There. Nice color, nice and soft, but also a little brown on the apples. Time to add the liver. I'm just going to scoop these right into the pot, right on top of the aromatics and the fruit. Now, we want to stir here because we want to get them into the heat, but we don't want to break them up any more than absolutely necessary, so be gentle. It's going to take about 3 minutes. I wouldn't walk away if I were you. You know the liver's close to done when you start to see pink juice, not blood, just juice, coming up out of the livers, and the outside starts to look a little sandy. If you're in doubt, just pick up one of the little guys and cut it open with a pair of scissors. It should be gray on the outside, but nice and pink on the inside. It's almost done. What I'm going to do now is add a 1/4 cup of brandy, nothing great, nothing worth writing home about, and let this simmer down for about another minute. Then get it off the heat and let it cool for 5 minutes. For those of you who remember our episode, Art of Darkness, this is just like making chocolate mousse, only we're not going to add gelatin to the cream because we want it to stay soft. Remember, start on low and then give it the spurs. There. Nice soft peaks, and it's time to fold. We've done this before. We did it with angel food cake, chocolate mousse, souffles, standard procedure. Half of this going into here. And we fold down the middle and over. Turn the bowl and repeat. Notice the folding arm isn't going anywhere. The bowl is spinning. As soon as most of the big white blobs are gone, you can go with the second installment. All at once. There. Light, frothy. And the taste? Well, ooh. Serve this right away, or you can cover it with plastic wrap and chill it for up to 2 days. And to tell you the truth, you don't have to have chips to dip this. Spoon will do fine. I don't know, Paul. Maybe 3.5 years is too long to spend looking for a unified dip theory. And maybe there aren't even any dip laws. Maybe we should just be glad that dips exist, that dips are out there, and that they are really good eats.
Look, you numbskull, I'm not Mr. Brown. This isn't my robe. I'm Chef Paul from the Food Network.
I don't care who you think you are, but you're not going anywhere without a pass.
You know who I am. Tell him, please.
Oh, that's Julia Child.